Hi guys. So my husband and I did a DNA test for Ancestry.com. So this video is just going to pretty much go over our experience of doing Ancestry.com DNA testing, and pretty much once your test results come in, what you can do on Ancestry.com. So before we go into depth about this video, I recommend that you watch my Science Behind DNA Testing video, just so you understand the basics of DNA testing and the basic of your ethnicity testing from your DNA test results. So if you don't understand the basics of DNA testing and the ethnicity, you'll probably end up getting lost if you don't know the basics. So I recommend watching that video first. So my husband and I bought our DNA test on November 18th, 2017. So we paid the Black Friday sale price. So as you can see here, we paid $148 for 2 tests and $14 in shipping, and for a grand total of $162. So before shipping, my husband and I paid on average $74 a test. So about a week later, our DNA test boxes or packets came in the mail. I believe they came in the mail on November 24th, 2017. So now I'm going to insert a clip of me opening up the package when it came in the mail.
So first up is Ancestry. I can tell it's Ancestry because it says Ancestry. Plus you can tell on the side. So this is what the packaging looks like. We've got 2 of them, one for me, one for my husband. And we'll open them up the rest of the way. So they're individually wrapped. And then taped. Okay, ready? Ooh, maybe I should open it this way. Okay, ready, set. So it looks like here on top is a little pamphlet on how to do things. So activate the kit online, gather DNA, and then how to gather DNA. Step 1. Gather DNA, you spit in the thing. I will give you more detailed up close view of that. Okay, the little bag that you're going to put your DNA test in. So I would assume this would be the spit take. Ew. We'll put that gross thing back. And the thing to package it and send it back in the mail. Oh, with the little tape remover.
So once we opened up the DNA kits, we realized we had an activation code, and we need to go online and activate the code. If we don't activate the code, then they can't tell that the DNA test is ours. It just wouldn't connect it to us. So it's very important that you activate it. Once we were done activating the code, one of the last questions it asked was, do you want to connect this DNA test to somebody on your family tree? And we did connected it. We connected it to the owner, my husband. And I do recommend doing this. I'll explain later on why I recommend doing this, but I recommend it. After we filled up the spit vial, I really didn't want to show you guys filling up the spit vial. That's kind of just gross in my opinion, of showing you guys how to fill that out. But it was pretty easy to do. You just follow the instructions. You You just follow the instructions that come in the packet in the box. Just read them carefully, make sure you understand them before you fill up the vial with your spit. The only recommendation I have is make sure you don't eat or drink for 30 minutes before taking the test. So we did the DNA test on January 1st, 2018. We sent back the DNA test packets on January 3rd, 2018. So Ancestry emailed us back saying they had received our DNA test samples on January 4th, 2018. And we got our test results in on February 9th, 2018. So we only had to wait 6 weeks, about 6 weeks. We had to wait about 6 weeks. It's actually 6 weeks in a day, but for those of you who care to do the math. But we waited about 6 weeks for our test results. And they emailed us saying that they were in. So you do need to have a subscription to Ancestry.com in order to look at your Ancestry DNA test results. I believe even when you buy one, they make you register for Ancestry DNA. If you have a Family Search account, you can actually get a free account for Ancestry.com. I will put a link to the video on how to do that in the description box below. Once you're here on the home page, you can come up here that says DNA, and you can click on that, and you can see your DNA test results. Go to your DNA stories, your DNA matches, your DNA circle, your latest views, activate a new test or buy a new test. I am just going to go to the Your DNA Results Summary. Okay, so this is the summary page. So you have 3 things you can pretty much do with your DNA test results when they come back. So the first thing is your DNA story, which is your ethnicity estimate. So if you don't know why they say it's an ethnicity estimate, I recommend you go watch my video on science behind DNA testing, and it should explain that so you understand why it's an estimate. So here on the little cover page is actually is a little summary of what my husband's ethnicity is. Then the next section is DNA matches. So this would be people who have similar DNA to my husband. And then the next section is your DNA circles, which I guess I'll explain more about that when we get there. So I guess first let's view the DNA story. So I'm going to click on Discover Your DNA Story. So this is my husband's ethnicity estimate. Every test result's going to look different, but this is what my husband's looks like. So over here on the left hand side is the percentage of his DNA. It is showing just mostly the higher percentage. If I wanted to see the lower percentage, we can click on the lower regions, and that'll be like, oh yep, 6% Caucasian, less than 1% Asian, 1% Jewish. And then we can just click on that again and lower it. So down here below is the migration history of your ancestors. Same for down here, it will be the migration history. So these sections are where his ancestors are from, but they migrated there, or more than likely migrated there. They're probably getting most of this from what happens throughout history, or from actually what happened on my husband's family tree. But we'll go more in depth about that later. And then down here below is you can see all the Ancestry DNA regions. So I clicked on that and we can see they have this region here, which is America. By the way, if you haven't realized, this is like the map repeated, because here's Australia and then here's Australia again. So right here is the Western Hemisphere. Then if we scroll in, we have part of Africa, different sections of Africa. Each circle is a different section or a different region in Africa. We have another one. We got the Middle East, couple of Middle East, India, all the Asian countries, and Russia, and all of Europe. So each one of these little bubbles is a region, and you can click on it. Let's see, let's click on this one and learn more about that region, or what percentage of DNA you have for that region. For the main part of my husband's DNA, it says that he is 28% Great Britain. We can click on the Great Britain and it'll pull up Great Britain. And then it'll show that some of his ancestors who were from the Great Britain area migrated to the Florida area and then migrated to the Western Mormon pioneers. Yeah, that's pretty much explains Utah family history all summed up right there. Yeah. So we'll go back. We can see that he's 23% West European, which doesn't really surprise me. Then he's 18% Scandinavia, which also doesn't surprise me, especially coming from Mormonism. So that we can see that most of that is Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian area. Then he's 9% Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. And then that we can see that part of these ancestors are the ones who migrated to Utah and Georgia and Florida. And then we have 7% Native American, which they're saying is all of this region. And that part of his ancestors are probably migrated or from this area. Oh, another thing, if you want more of an overview on each section, you can actually click on this overview down here and read more about that section or that culture. And then you just click it to close it, make it smaller. And like once again, you can click on the lower regions or the lower percentage of your DNA to see the smaller percentage. So we can see that the 6% is the Caucasus, or however you want to pronounce that. Middle East is what I'm going to call it, the Middle East. So here's the Middle East. And then we have 2%, however you want to say that. The peninsula, the Iberian, I have no idea. Peninsula, I'm going to slaughter this. I suck at other languages. This is pretty much Spain. Pretty much, see, it's Spain. And then we have South Europe and Africa, North Africa, another part of Africa, Finland and Russia, Asia, East Asia, and European Jews. So you guys are probably wondering what we thought of the DNA test results or what our first reactions were. Being European, Scandinavia, Irish, Native American didn't really shock me. None of that really shocked me. I have heard rumors that my husband is part Native American. He's obviously part Mexican. And then his family's been in America for so long that I don't even know what's after being in America on that side of the tree. And then his mother's side is very English and very Scandinavia. So those parts I wasn't really shocked about. The Jewishism, the Eastern Asia, and the parts of Africa were the parts that shocked me the most. Those were the parts that I didn't know are even on his family tree. I haven't even found anything that would equal to Africa or the Eastern Asia. I guess the European Jews, they are from Europe. A lot of them are from Europe, so I could see how that kind of got in. So those were the parts that we were shocked the most to see. We did not know that those were in his family tree or he would have those. We were more curious to see how they were going to interpret his Mexican side. Since if you guys know Mexican history, they were Native Americans and Spaniards came over and integrated their culture with the natives there and came up with the Mexican culture, or the Hispanic culture as we know it. So we were kind of curious to see how they would break that down. and see if they would just say he's Mexican or if they would say that he's Native American in Spanish. And actually, they do say he's Native American, as we saw, and that he's also from Italy, the peninsula from Spain. So we did see that that's how they broke it down. But it was more shocking to find that there was more Native American than Spaniards. But that kind of makes sense since he has the Native American side in him and the Mexican side in him. So that would probably make sense of why there's more Native American than Spaniards. So I guess let's go into the migration. So we have pretty much 3. It says 2 right here, but we have this blue one down here that's going to say 3. So if you click on this, it will tell you about the Mountain West Mormon pioneer migration. So you can get an overview and learn more about the Mormon LDS Church. Or you can see down here how many other Ancestry DNA members actually have matches to ancestors here in this area. Up here it's telling us just through our family tree and probably history in itself that they probably all migrated from these 3 territories: the West Europeans, Ireland, Scottish Welsh area, and Great Britain. Surprised they don't have Scandinavian over here. So there's that. Now he has the Georgia and Florida settlers. So we have a little overview about the Georgia settlers from the early American time frame, and then how much him and other Ancestry DNA members have had their DNA tested and are related to those in that area, and then where they think they came from, or through his family tree and DNA test results, where areas from the world they think they came from. I'm kind of actually surprised they don't have more in there. Anyway. So now we'll go down here to the DNA story overview. This is actually kind of cool and fun. So if we start with the 1700s, we can see that most of my husband's family started off in these four territories. So we have the Scandinavian, we have the Irish and Scottish and Welsh, the Great British area, and the Western European area. And that they say they all migrated over to the colonies about the 1700s. Which is actually kind of true, because they moved over there at the early 1700s, late 1600s. A lot of his ancestors moved over there. So we can click on these little icons here. We'll click on the 2. And it will tell us which ancestor migrated to that area or is from that area around the early 1700 time frame. We can also go here to the number 4 and see that there was a lot from the New Mexico here in the 1700s. That doesn't surprise me, since New Mexico used to be part of Mexico. And yes, he does have a lot of family members that were from New Mexico and have been there since the dawn of time. So we can click on each one of these and see where his ancestors were at the early 1700s. So these little pink bubbles with the line, it's actually people settling to the Georgia colonies, as you can see right here. So it's just the migration of what happened for these regions of where people migrated in the 1700s over to where they migrated here in America. These are not necessarily my husband's ancestors. It's just a general overview of what happened in the early 1700s from the ethnicity results that we got. So, and then over here on the side, we can see ancestors that were from the early 1700s that are on my husband's family tree, and we can click on them. And then we can go to their profile, or we can click on them like this, and once again, go to their profile. And when I say go to their profile, it's going to their personal page. So now let's do the 1750s. So now we have once again the list of people from the 1750s, where they were at, what they were doing. And then once again we have the Georgia, Florida settlers, because once again people were still migrating to the Georgia and Florida area from the 1750s. Same with my husband's family tree. If we look on his family tree, we can still see that some of his family members were moving over to that area in the 1750s. But then we have this new migration, which really isn't a migration, of this Southern America area, or this Mexico area, sorry, this Mexico area. And now we can get a little summary about West Mexico and what's going on. So now let's do the 1800s. Oh look, we have the Utah settlers. They're starting to come over. And then once again the migration. Nothing really migrating to the Utah settling area quite yet for the 1800s. They're just starting. They're starting, but they're not quite there yet. Let's see. Actually, let's see who this guy is. Thomas Mills. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So now let's see what's going on in the 1825. Oh my gosh, 1825. People are moving. Lots of people are moving. So this is what we saw earlier, the Mountain West Mormon pioneers. I'm just going to call it the Mormon migration. Which makes sense. So here's some ancestors, once again, that are listed that are moving over to Utah or moving over to the Mormon settlers. Makes sense. Which makes sense since you know the church kind of started settling in Utah about that time frame, and the Mormons started moving over about that time frame, and the church started getting big. So once again, we have our three types of migratory patterns. We have our ancestors for the 1825-ish time frame. We have the migration patterns. So a lot of people throughout history were migrating from these areas over to the United States, and then from the United States over to the Utah Territory. Or even people from the United States territory are moving to other parts of the United States or to Utah. So we can click on with this one and be like, yep, she was born in Illinois, so she's got that going for her. Yep. Living in that area. Pretty much stayed in that area. And then we just move on throughout history, and we could see more of the migration pattern of family members or ancestors or people in general for that time frame, moving over to certain parts of the United States where he has ancestors living. Moving to Utah, no big deal, same thing. 1875s, we have most of the saints moving outwards, or most of his family members moving outwards. 1900s, this one's a little more interesting. Early 1900s, we have a lot more family members who are moving, a lot more of the Mexican family members moving into the United States, and those from Utah are moving outwards. And then, same with a 1925, we have a lot more moving in and a lot more moving to other parts of the country. So yeah. If you have any questions about this section, I recommend that you hit this little question mark up here so that you can get a better understanding of the ethnicity DNA test results. If you also want to share, you can just click share. Zoom in, zoom out. Then this will just tell you more about your ancestors' birthplaces. So these are the ones based on your family tree, and the other sections are just based on your DNA. The little bubbles are based on your DNA. So that should be pretty much everything you need to know about the DNA story. So the ethnicity part of the DNA test results. So we're going to go back to the DNA homepage. Next is the DNA matches. This is where we're going to match my husband's DNA to other people who have done DNA testing with Ancestry and see where he has some matches, where we have hints on the family tree and stuff like that. So we can see right here we have 167 people who share ancestor hints, 0 star matches, and 827 fourth cousins or closer. So he has 827 people who've done DNA testing that have similar DNA to his. So let's view all DNA matches. Basic start off. Those who have the little green things are the green leaves are hints. Little blue dots right here are new people. Stars are where you can star people because you're highly interested in them. And then the little orange one is regions. Then you have a search bar. You buy a DNA test for somebody else. And then we have them sectioned off as first cousins, second cousins, and third cousins, or possibilities of first cousins, second cousins, and third cousins. So they're pretty confident that this guy is my husband's first cousin. He last logged in date. Well, that was creepy. And the possibility range is from first to second cousin. If you want to know more, you can just click on the little question mark and they'll let you know more. So we have history, and history has 464 people on it. And we can view our match to him. So let's click view. So we have right here up at the top, last time this guy signed in. And right here we have the prediction or possible range of cousins and their confidence in it. You can also star and whatnots. Star throwaway. Then they're saying in the DNA circle connection, these are people who are related. So DNA circle connection is something that only Ancestry does. I don't grasp it very well. But what it sounds like to me is that the little circle is between you and this person. In this case, it'd be you and this person and ancestors that you share on your family tree. Later on, it's going to be you and a group of other people who have shared DNA test results or share family tree or share related ancestors. I don't know. I'll explain to it as we go along. It's just really complicated to me. A little overcomplicated. So in this case, I think that what it means is that this guy and my husband are related and that these are people on our family tree that are connected. Like my husband and this guy are related to all these people on my husband's family tree or this guy's family tree because, you know, we connect. So if we click on one, let's say Joseph Slater, it now brings us up to Joseph Slater's DNA circle. So he has 16 members, 8 matches. We have information about John Slater, information about the DNA circle. Hurry and read that because I don't understand this section very well. Now if we scroll down, we have this circle of descendants of Joseph Slater. And then we can see over here like, oh, this guy is second great grandson of Joseph Slater. And then from my understanding that the thicker the line is, the more DNA these people have shared. So the thinner the line is, the less DNA shared. The thicker the line, the more DNA you have shared. So this is a family group, family group, family group, individual, 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 family group, and then individual. I don't even know why that individual's there if they don't even have DNA shared with the family group. But I guess they have Joseph Slater on their family tree. And they just don't have shared DNA. So this is the family relationship. You can go to list and see a list of relatives of Joseph Slater, and then you can view relationship. So you can see their line of how they're related to Joseph Slater, or how our line is and how we're related to Joseph Slater. So yeah, there's that. Then it's saying what his ethnicity is. So he has the Scandinavian, the European, and the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, Great Britain, with traces or little bits of these other areas. So now we can see that because this guy and my husband share these same ethnicities, that whatever family tree, whatever side of the family tree that this guy is connected to, that's the side of the family tree my husband's getting those ethnicities from. Which I believe is his mother's side, just coming off of these names that I see. So scrolling down. So right here we have the pedigree of surnames. So this would be the pedigree of how they believe we are connected through our 2 family trees and because of our DNA test results. And we'll come back to this a little more. So down here is showing other surnames that are connected in our family trees. Then a generation chart of how we're connected or where our trees connect. And then surnames that are 10 generations on the pedigree and how often I assume they occur. So if you don't like the tree below, you can actually just go view tree and it will show us this guy's family tree, and we can go through his tree and be like, oh yep, this is where we're connected. I recognize these names over here, and we can see that we're connected, and then my husband can email him and say, hey look, we're connected. So back to this. So next is shared matches. So if you click on that, it's going to show you shared matches you have with the so-and-so. This guy and my husband's DNA. These are all the people that match both of their DNA. And then the possible relation my husband has with them. Then we can go map and locations. So now we have a picture of the map. We have a picture of birth locations that appear in both my husband's tree and this new guy's tree. And then birth locations that match on our tree. Both of their trees. And then if we zoom in on this map, so let's go zoom. Now we can see on the new guy or the possible cousin, we can see now all these orange tags are where his ancestors are from. Then the blue one is where my husband's ancestors are from. And then green ones, like that one right there, are shared ancestors and where they're from. So that's how that works out. Now let's go back to Mr. DNA. So I guess let's just jump right in. Let's go view all DNA circles. So this is a list of my husband's ancestors. You can see we have a picture of them, their name, what relation my husband is to them, and how long they lived. Then we have 72 other members are related to this ancestor. And we can click on it. And now we have Peter's name. And we have 72 members that are connected to him or related to him, and 41 of them are matches to my husband. A little bit about Peter, and then information about the DNA circle. Then we could scroll down. Oh, we're still on lists from earlier. So we're on lists, and now we can see a list of relatives that are related to Peter and are possibly related to my husband. Then we can click on relationships, and and then it will pull up the family circle. So we have my husband, and then family groups, more family groups. Oh my gosh, a lot of family groups, individual, family group, and an individual. Okay, so these are all people who are related to Peter And then we can see that my husband has more DNA shared with some of these people and not as much DNA shared with other people. And then there's some people where he doesn't share DNA with them, but they're somehow related to, somehow they all convert back to Peter. You can also go through and see the family group list right here and see how many members, and then you can click on and review each individual in the family group. I hope this makes sense, because this doesn't make sense to me. I find this way more complicated than they needed to make it. Now that I've showed you guys kind of the importance of having your DNA connected to your family tree so you can tell with your ethnicity when your ancestors migrated over, and also comparing record hints and shared ancestors with other people who have done the DNA test here on Ancestry. I'm now going to show you guys how to link your DNA test to your ancestry tree after you've gotten your DNA test. So if you decide while you're activating your DNA test not to connect it to your family tree, you can come back later and connect it to your family tree, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So this is my DNA test results, and if you saw my husband's, if you noticed, down here it was just all of a sudden it was the bottom of the Ancestry website. For me, I have a beta test. I'm going to ignore that, and we're going to keep scrolling down and see, this is what you saw on my husband's page. And for me it says link to your tree and add a profile picture. We actually want to link to our tree, so we're going to click on that. We're going to select what tree we want. I only have one tree, so enter the name. And now it's pulled up options, and it's only pulled up my name because I'm the only one in my family tree named my name. So I click on my name. Now it says link your DNA test results. Link. And well, bam, it's now connected to my tree. It says success. You have connected your DNA test to your family tree. So now it's connected. Simple, easy. So I hope this video made sense and you guys understand more about Ancestry DNA and how their website works and what it's like to get an Ancestry DNA test results. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. If you guys have any suggestions on what I should film, please also comment below. And I hope you all have a beautiful week. Bye!